I am so excited today for the Hustle podcast taking Dubai. Today we have one of the most influential disruptors, an entrepreneur who's disrupted tech, crypto, real estate. He is known for his luxury lifestyle, fitness, fashion, but two successful gaming companies with over 250 million downloads. He's got the hustle, bougie, and a little hood. Welcome to Sam Ratumaitavuki.
I like that. Bougie with the hood. I like that. Chicken nuggets with the caviar. That's what I always say.
I love it. I think you're like me, like bougie and a little hood. But for real, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. Like, mad respect. You are influencing and disrupting so many people on a global level. But take it right back to your roots, Fiji and New Zealand. How did it all begin? How did this amazing story begin? Because you come from humble beginnings, right?
Yeah. No, thank you for bringing me onto your platform. Yeah, so basically, I was born in New Zealand, but I got Fijian heritage. Also, my mom's from English and Welsh. I'm like 50. I'm half caste. And I was kind of like one of the first. Like I think my generation was like the first generation of half caste. Like it wasn't such a big thing as it is today. So we kind of didn't fit in, and well, too Islander for the white side, too white for the Fijian side. So I was kind of like, we were figuring out our own identity and all of that. But that's the identity side. But yeah, I grew up in Ranui in West Auckland, and for my early years, I went to Ranui Primary School. My dad was dad was working, and I lived with there was 5 kids, and my dad and my stepmom. So my mom was I lived with my dad, and then I went to my mom's like every second weekend, pretty much. So yeah, it was like four of us in one room, 2 bunk beds, in Ranui, West Auckland. And yeah, it was a struggle, but you don't really think about it being a struggle when that's just what's normal. But I was like, damn, I remember just like the 50-cent noodles for dinner, and damn, let's just remember all those days. Just the good thing is that my where I lived, my dad wasn't an alcoholic or any on drugs or anything like that. It was just a strict dad. And we just grew up like with not much money, because obviously there was a lot of kids, a lot of mouths to feed, pretty much. So yeah, it was like that. I had my dad had me doing the paper route when I was like 8 years old. Twice a week, all through Ranui, like a 3-hour route. So and that was just to help with the family and everything. I didn't get nothing from it. So it was like that, it was kind of like that. I would go to I remember going to different friends' house depending on if I knew that there was a possibility of being some food at their house. That's how it was, man. It was like that.
Wow.
Then at 11 years old, I went to boarding school. So I went down to Wesley College in South Auckland, or in Pukekohe, which was in the south. And man, that was a completely crazy experience, because even that was a very strict school with a lot of history, a lot of discipline, a lot of like physicality, because it was pretty much the 17-year-old big Tongans and Samoans overseeing the 11 years old, 12 years old. So man, that shit was crazy. Like we had a lot of discipline. It was very, to be honest, I didn't like it. It was very physical. But looking back, it's all good. But man, it was crazy. Like that shit was hard. Then I went to Australia, and Australia is where I say I grew up, because up until that point in New Zealand, I was just like, I wasn't allowed out of the if I was allowed out, it was to go, I mean, as a primary school. But then I went to Wesley College, so that was like, man, that's like far away boarding school, so like, and that was its own little bubble. Very you can just go on Google and you'll type, man, Wesley College, New Zealand, physical. There's a lot of the school just got shut down last year, the boarding school side, because it's too much it's just crazy. But it was cool. I learned a lot. But it is a bubble. And then when I went to Australia, that's when I got exposed to like all these different groups, like because up until then I was pretty much just hanging around islanders. So so when I went to Australia, there was like I didn't even know what a surfy guy was, a skater guy, the weed heads, all these different types of, the cheerleading girls, these type of the Asians, all of this. So for me, it was cool, and I loved it. And I stayed with my mom at that point, and she went up from 6 to 6, so I was kind of like on my own. From there, I started talking about the entrepreneurial journey. I started selling mixtapes and CDs at the Woodridge markets in Logan from like the age of 12. The age of 12, I was selling on Sundays. I was selling mixtapes and CDs. And my mom didn't drop me off or nothing. I did that on my own accord. So like I would literally back then you'd call up. I'd have to call up the taxi. I would have to go to behind the supermarket to grab the milk crates to set up my table. I would have like a hard cover Tupac poster that they had everyone had on the wall. And it was like the hardcover, and I would use that as my table. And then I would get like the CD Walkman with the computer speakers. I would be biting the batteries to make it last longer. And I would be selling these mixtapes from all the different DJs around Australia. And people used to come up and buy like 4 mixtapes or CDs, and then they would play it at like the parties because back then it was like a thing where you'd get the instrumental from one song and the acapella from another song and blend them together. This was like a new thing. So like so yeah, it was cool, and from there I learned kind of how to hustle. How to sell. You could sell stuff. Even I would buy the Source magazine and I would go through all the Source magazine front to back to front, and I would look for all like upcoming artists, songs, and all that. I'd be on Napster, iMesh, whatever it was at the time, downloading the songs, and I would make my own like this is the best songs of this month, and I would sell them at school for like $10. And I'd buy a big stack of CDs for like a 100 pack, 60 pack, and just every month I'd be selling them.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of like
You
that.
started
That's how it
hustling young.
started.
You
Yeah.
started hustling young. I love it. Where do you think you get your drive from?
To be honest, like I don't know, I just always, oh man, I always had it. To be honest, I always had it. And when I look back, I always had entrepreneurial streaks in me. I just didn't have like a mentor to, and I always say this, I didn't have a mentor to say, I like what you're doing, but let me like help you refine it. Let me help you take it to the next level. So I would have these like like growing up, I would have these little spurts. Like I remember even in year 2000, I was getting checks in the mail from doing affiliate marketing online, and they were sending checks in the mail at that time. There was a company called alladvantage.com, and I remember that I was like getting people to install the advertising toolbars. I'll be in Yahoo chat rooms and everything, getting people to install it. I still got the website actually up. It's crazy because yeah, like so I had all these like entrepreneurial dreams, and I guess to be honest, it was just because if I wanted anything, I had to pay for it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like um, oh, if I get that, I could. Oh, this is coming up. Christmas is coming up. I want that. I want that. Now, anything that I wanted, I had to get it. Like even when I was at boarding school, like I had to buy my own shampoo. I had to buy my own soap. I had to buy my own toothbrush, toothpaste. So I was working. Anything that I needed like that, even the essentials, I had to pay for it myself, even back then. So it was kind of a necessity. And then I just loved it. I wasn't one to sit around. I wasn't one to just do nothing. I always wanted to stay busy. I always liked networking. I was that kid back in school that I knew all the cool people from all the different schools, like I knew who to know. And that was just from going out. That was just from going to late night, like Thursday nights was like late night shopping. And that's when like back then there wasn't social media wasn't a big thing, Like, I think it was just MSN Messenger. So that was the meetups. That was the chat rooms. That was the Instagram. That was the social media spots. and I just knew everyone because I would always be out. As long as I could figure out how to get to the mall, I didn't care if I had to walk home like 3 hours at 9:30 p.m. on the Thursday night. Go to walk. Me and my friend, we used to walk back to his house, and I'd have to ride the bike another 10 kilometers from there to get to mine. We didn't care about that as long as we got there every Thursday. That was what we had to do, and and I ended up just knowing everyone. I knew everyone from like the key people from like Gold Coast all the way up to the north side of Brisbane, and that's how And then that's how I just figured out how to monetize all of these
Wow.
connections.
And also, you
Yeah,
were an artist at one stage, a music promoter. You've actually
yeah,
found some incredible artists. You were in the nightclub scene. How do you feel
yeah.
the music industry kind of shaped your entrepreneurial journey?
Look, I would say that I would say that the gym actually started it gave me a lot of hustle. It gave me discipline. It gave me obsession. It gave me delayed gratification, all the key things that you need in business to succeed. So it started from the gym. This is why always tell everyone, you know, you gotta, when I teach people, I say you gotta find something that they would relate to, that they love. So that's why I always at a young age, I say, get your ass to training, because these key principles that you learn, and you see it all the time in, for example, boxing. You see the kid that's, didn't have nothing, didn't have no guidance. He went to boxing and he learned all of these things, and he's actually the calmest dude in the in the classroom. So it was gym. But then when it came to music, that taught me like that taught me I figured out how to monetize. So I took all the lessons from the gym, and I took it into music, into the nightclub industry, and I really learned how to monetize. And also, I always say that the music scene, the nightclub industry, it really taught me how to be self-reliant, because we didn't have a big budget. We were competing with EDM clubs. That at the time, EDM music was the biggest thing going. These top clubs in the city were paying 50,000, 60,000 for the top international DJs, and we just got the hip hop DJ who no one knows. Like he's a good DJ, but no one knows him. So there's not really no famous hip hop DJs, especially locally, and even internationally. These guys aren't touring. I'm the top ones. So I had to learn how to be super hustle. Like really learn how to hustle. And for me, I always related to I used to watch long format interviews of like for example, like Birdman, uh Master P, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, and then even the people in the industry, the Kevin Lyles and all of these, Steve Stout. I used to watch all of these type of interviews to learn the hustle, to learn the grind, because it was the same thing for hip hop, a decade prior to when I was when I was coming out. Like, no big brands were really wanting to work with them. They didn't understand the value of the value proposition of working with these people, or the power that they had. So it was kind of like they had to do it all themselves. So I was watching all these long format interviews, applying all of that to what I had going on. And yeah, I was doing music. I was traveling all around Australia. So even with the nightclubs, man, and we still have it to this day. We still have Future Now Music, which has Kenyon Brown, Donnell Lewis, Peanut Butter, DJ Noise. So it caters to the island community, but it's from the hustle that myself that I set up first as an MC, and then also my business partner, Mark, who we co-founded Future Now with. But yeah, I just started as a promoter, and then I was just looking at the guy on the mic, and I'm going, I can do that. This guy gets way more clout. Um, he gets way more clout from being behind the mic. He has more power, and he has more access. I know that I can monetize that. So I was just seeing what he was doing, and a lot of the MCs at the time, they will be too loud, they'll be too over the top, they'll be all about me. Whereas I understood, because I used to work hand in hand with Scotty, who was like the OG at the time. And you just got to fit in on the breaks. The DJ might have a 10-second interlude in between songs when he's mixing them, where you just got to say the message that you need to say, like, welcome to Magic City, DJ, blah blah blah, let's go, ladies night, shout out to this guy, shout out to that guy, make them feel special. And then I also knew, like, don't be too much of a diva. Don't try to bring 10 of your friends into the night. Treat it like it's a workplace. You don't bring 10 of your boys to, if you got a concreting job, you don't bring 10 of your boys if you got any other job. But obviously when it comes to a nightclub, these people tend to do that, and I know that it's so annoying as a promoter, and it's so annoying as when you're trying to run a business, that these guys are treating it like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I got 10 of my boys trying to come in. Like, so I knew, like, just keep it very simple,
Mm-hmm.
fill in the gaps. And then from there, then I started traveling interstate. So then promoters would book me into Sydney, they'd book me here, they'd book me all over. And I'm like, man, I gotta run my own nights. So I started my own nights, very successful, very successful. Was running that for like 5 years. And that led me to the Facebook stuff, So like I said, out of necessity. But even in the nightclub stuff, what I would do, and I tell people this is, you know, I would be, for example, this guy might own a restaurant, and I'd be friends with him, and he would message me going, "Hey man, I'm coming to the club in 20 minutes. I'm bringing a date. Can you like let us in?" And I'd go to the back of the line where he was. I'd bring him up, make him feel special, tell the girl like, "Oh my God, you're with this guy. He's the man." Blah blah blah. Take them up to the top, give them a few drinks, and and then I had a spot where I could go get free food at his restaurant. So I was like leveraging my what I had going on to also like network with the right people as well. And then from there, people wanted me to start promoting what they had going on. This supplement shop, this tattoo shop. And then, I was learning more and more about business from long format interviews like this. This is why I love long format interviews, because this is where you really get the gems. This is where you really, it's good that you're doing this, because people that listen to this, they might see the trailer on Instagram or the post or the reels or the stories, but this is where you actually
Learn the
get
gold, the real
get the
gold.
gold. This is the gold. This is the gold. So yeah, so that's when I started learning. I'm like, I want equity. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now I'm asking for equity. I'm asking for percentages. I'm going up to Darwin. I'm going to Townsville, Mackay, and I'm sticking to these regionals, because I know that if I go to Sydney, Melbourne, or all these other big cities, that they got Justin Bieber, they got Beyonce coming through, so it's going to be hard to compete. So I was like, you know what? 1/3 of Australia's population is regional, and if I go up there, I know that I'll probably be the biggest thing that is happening in that town that night. So even people that aren't into or don't even know who I am, or don't even like my music or whatever, there's nothing that's going to beat it that night. So that was like, I was just figuring out my own route, my own route. And I went as an artist, and I didn't charge too much to the clubs, so I could go back once a month. Whereas a lot of people, they try to do the one deal, rip the nightclub owner off.
Mm.
He'll never make money from that, and he'll never get booked again, like and they'll think they had a come up. Whereas I'm like, okay, I know what I'll charge to make sure that I can go once a month. Now I'm making more over the year, like way more than the artists who are going once. But not only that, I'm building a relationship with the nightclub owner. I'm building my network up with the micro influencers, the key people in all of these regional towns. Even in these regional towns, there's someone who was on a reality show. There's someone who came fifth in X Factor or whatever, and they got clout in that town. And, so I would build my relationships with them. I would bring them to the hotel before the event. I would get a bottle from the club, would be drinking, would be, you know, warming up, and then they'd be posting all up on their stories for free. So I would have 10 micro influencers that were very powerful in that city. Talking about the event that I had going on that night, and I didn't pay nothing for it, just because I was like, I learned how to leverage what I had as well. So now, yeah, I just set up nights all over well, pretty much all over the country, and it's still going today. Future Now Music, Mark, my business partner, he pretty much handles all of that. And look, I didn't really take no money from that. That's more like so my boys can eat because, at the end of the day, it's the music business. But a lot of the music artists, they only know music, so
Yeah.
and that's why our artists have longevity and they've been eating for over a decade and able to feed their families for over a decade, because of the work that we set up and also because they work hard as well. So yeah, it's just stuff like that.
I love
Um,
that. It's like psychology, strategy. I think you really, what resonated with me out of that is not just the hustle, but like it's about equity and ownership. And I think that you've been thinking about all these different angles. And then how did you pivot from that into two major tech gaming companies with over
yeah,
200 million downloads?
yeah. So one thing for me is I always figure out early what's the ceiling of what I got going on. That's where a lot of people stuff up. They become experts in something that the ceiling is super low. So even if you become an expert, the best of the best in this industry,
Yeah.
well, really just look around and who's getting paid the most. Like for example, a lot of Pacific Islanders, they want to be NRL players, right? They want to be athletes. There's a salary cap per team. You know what I mean? And that salary cap's got to get divided amongst the top 25 roster. Okay, it's heavy at the top, but only if you're like a halfback, one of the marquee players, and it's still like 1.4, 1.5 million per year.
And then the shelf life.
And it's a shelf life, you know what I mean? But it is a stepping stone. So, but a lot of people, that's the end goal, that's the
Yeah,
destination.
that's a dream.
This is why that's what I try to install. And man, I have a lot of athlete friends that follow me
Mm.
that I'm friends with. I always try to let them know this is a stepping stone to the next thing.
If they are an athlete and they're cracking that, that's great. But then while you're making that type of income, how are you diversifying? How are you investing? Because diversification is something that you've done so well across
Yeah.
business, crypto, real estate.
Yeah. Like I said, it goes back to just knowing all these different people. I didn't stick to the people that look like me. I didn't just only, my friend group is very eclectic.
Yeah.
I have dudes from Brazil. I have dudes from wherever you could think of. I got to connect, and and it's not just like guys that look like me I'm hanging out with. No, I'm hanging out with a wide variety of people. So yeah, so I was in the nightclubs and I was running events, doing all of this, very very making good money. Actually, to be honest with you, I was making more money than most of the music artists because I was running the nights. I was taking the door. So if we look at it over a yearly period, I was making more money than all of these famous artists from the country. Um, but at the end of the day, right, a nightclub holds 600, 800 people. If it rains, you make 25% less. All this extra, you're capped at the end of the day. So at that point, I was using Facebook to do all my marketing. And then, man, I wrote I found this letter actually. The first post that went viral on my for page was and so mind you, I probably built this up to like 40,000 followers at the time, purely just off what I had going on. Like this was 40,000 people that followed me, Fortify. That was my name. Anything that I had to do, which was pretty big at the time for a local artist. I mean, you might get a dude that won X Factor, he might get a 100,000, but he got 100,000 in a week. So the next season, they don't care what he's doing, because but I built mine at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very slow, replying to everyone in the DMs. I still do it to this day, which is very hard. And it's something that I'm a big proponent of, is always, you know, and this goes with business as well. Your early people that are fucking with what you got going on, bring them in to your inner circle and let them feel like they're really a part of the project, and then they're gonna go and champion for you everywhere they go. These are gonna be your biggest that's gonna be your best investment of marketing and all of that, your early adopters to whatever product or project you got going on. So I'm in the nightclubs and I found this letter that I wrote to my mom when I was like 8 saying, "Hey, look, I'm running away. You're at the gym too much." And I posted that up, just something funny. And it got like, I can't remember, it was probably like 10,000 likes, which to be honest, back then I was probably getting 100, 200, 300. So I'm like, damn, that's cool. I didn't think too much of it. Then the ice bucket challenge thing, it would have been like the next day or a couple of days later. At that time, that there was a trend called the ice bucket challenge. And actually my bro Mark, he put together a compilation. So everyone was posting their trend, and he put together a compilation. We posted it and got 20 million views in like 8 hours. And I'm like, damn, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but this is what we need to focus on because even at that time, I was working, I was working with top people that had like I always knew people that was on X Factor, this, that. I always just from being in the clubs, I knew so many people. Because obviously, like it's my job to know who's hot, bring them to the club, like and look after them. And so I knew all these people. I was even teaching people how to make plays. Like I was creating ebooks for people that had 5 million, 10 million followers back then. And I realized, man, dealing with influencers, dealing with other people and managing them, oh man, it's so bad because you're on their time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I need, like that's why I do now. Like I don't want to be an influencer in that. It's kind of out of necessity because I know how frustrating it is to deal with influencers. Um, I prefer just to be about the business. But yeah, so it got 20 million views and we just locked in and we just started posting like every 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes, 24/7. Like there was two of us. He'd be on the night shift, I'll be on the day shift. I'll be on the day like and I'm posting every 20 minutes. So we were like an aggregator of content, like a uni lad back then. I don't know if you know that. Lad Bible, Fortify. We were actually one of the biggest, actually the biggest page in the world in terms of reach.
Wow.
For like a whole year straight. It was crazy. Like there would be memes I would post and get 1 million likes. I could get 100 million views on videos. So it was like that. And then I was just figuring out how to monetize it. I knew that from running the clubs, we weren't in the best location in a lot of these clubs. So there wasn't really walk-through traffic. It was more like a destination. And I'm like, damn, if my club was on the main street with all this traffic coming past, I'd be killing the clubs too. Like, but I gotta go to these clubs on the second, third best street. So I'm like, okay, I know that I know that where there's a lot of traffic, there's an opportunity to monetize. Now it's figuring out how to monetize. So I obviously figured out as the page was growing, getting people from all over the world. Mind you, they weren't following me. I was an aggregator of viral content, you know what I mean? So like at that time, I was just posting whatever was viral, a theme page type. And yeah, I was just figuring out how to monetize. I tried everything. With drop shipping, one way that we did make good money was through links. Would post like those clickbait articles like Kim Kardashian's new post. Uh, you won't believe no, page number 4, shock face, next, 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 next. You're clicking on the link, it's full of ads. We made good money doing that. But I knew that all of these were hustles, this was like I'm seeing everyone around me become successful. I hadn't really had my turn yet, but I'm seeing a lot of people becoming successful. So I'm just taking notes, I'm taking notes of what they did wrong, what they did right. And I'm just putting all this data into my head and just going, you know what, like this is how I'm gonna do it. So I never monetized too early. I realized that you'd see someone go on a reality show, get 100,000 followers, and start going to all the movie premieres, all these different things. They'll take the foot off the pedal, and then they'll be posting up, "Hey, I'm at this movie premiere, and that looks cool to flex on." And we can talk about relationships later as well, because that's another thing what I can talk about. Um, you know, but they're killing their engagement. No one cares. Like you came up off of singing, and now you're posting up at the new movie premiere. So you're literally killing your reach. So I realized don't monetize too early. I waited till we had like 3-4 million followers on the page before I really like monetized. And I knew even, you got to hit them with the punch, 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 and then you go for the knockout. You know what I mean? And then you go for the punch, punch. So you got to give the content, give the value,
Mm.
and then monetize a little. It's not just monetize, monetize, monetize.
Yeah. So we're now living in a new era of wealth creation
Yeah.
and a new era of personal brand. Obviously, you've touched on how, you really were riding that wave of virality, but now you have built a powerhouse personal brand off the back of being a founder and a disruptor and an innovator. How do you feel like you've continued to build and evolve and monetize the personal brand online?
Yeah, well, it all goes back to, at the start it was out of necessity. But I also had the foresight, like even 14, 15 years ago, I know that I was telling everyone people are going to be walking around with the camera on their head or whatever it was, live 24/7. So I already knew that that was coming. And I love when my Facebook status shows you the memories of shit you said 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I love posting that
Yeah, I
because,
love when you post the throwbacks and you're like, I said this a decade ago. I called
oh,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, okay, so you see that. So, it's true. Like, I already knew that what was coming because, I always like to foresee the future. I can always easily take myself out of the situation and look from like a,
You're futuristic. You can see you're like a visionary.
yeah, definitely. And it's because I love tech. It's because I look like this, but I'm actually a geek. It's crazy that
Are you really? I would
yeah,
not. I would not pick that you're a geek.
yeah, I'm a nerd. Like I'm straight up nerd. Like
Are you just at home watching like educational videos?
documentaries, like like long format podcasts,
You love
you know,
learning, growing.
geopolitics, history, all of that stuff. I'm out and about when I need to be. You know what I mean? But everything's for networking, everything's for marketing. But yeah, so back to the question, everything was for me was out of necessity, but also out of foresight. Um, so I got vlogs from 15 years ago, 16 years ago. I got like New Zealand tours, vlog one, vlog two, vlog three, and this wasn't a thing. Like no one was doing that. You know what I mean? Everyone was like, "This guy's extra. Like, why is he doing that?" Like, and now everyone's does it. And I always knew that being founder led, people resonate with the brand more, the product more, especially once you start getting stats on the board.
Yeah.
They trust in the next thing that you got going on, and this is why for me it's so important to build your personal brand because the business can fail, but you still got your personal brand. You know what I mean? And
100%. And you can get up and go again and you can do something different.
look, everyone knows that no one has 100% strike rate, right? Like it's like anything, rugby, whatever. The All Blacks, they don't win all their games. You know what I mean? So, but they still got the brand, So people in business, especially when they try entrepreneurship, they get burnt once and they quit, they give up. I don't like that. Nah, not me. I use that as lessons. I use that as like I'm building my character. I'm building my skill set up. I'm getting my PhD in the hustle.
I
I'm
love
getting my
that. I love
right now.
that. I'm getting my
Yeah, I never.
PhD in the hustle. That's what everyone needs.
Yeah, I never went to. I didn't finish school. I didn't go to university at all.
So you're like
So
self-taught, self-made.
yeah, it's pretty trippy. Like when I think about it.
But that's hunger, that's drive, that's work ethic, but also
Yeah,
discipline, like you're saying. Like the thing is, I love your content. I find it just I resonate with it so hard because I just feel like you really talk directly, especially to like founders, because there's a lot of pain you go through
yeah,
that people
yeah,
don't show
yeah.
on Instagram. Like they show like the mountaintop, but they don't show the valley you went through to get there.
Yeah, it's not easy, and it's constant challenges. It's constant stress. It's constant. You got to stay obsessed at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I realized, and a lot of people, because you got to think back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the only way to market your product was by billboards, was by radio, was by television, was by newspaper print. So no one cared who the founder was. You know what I mean? Like no one cared but who's the guy who owns the brand? Because that wasn't where you saw the marketing of the product. Now it's completely reversed. Like usually now, and you see with guys like Mr. Beast and all of these top people is they get the following first and then they monetize.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, so I just knew that early, and like I said, it was out of necessity. But looking back, I just realized like being founder led and everything, you put yourself on the line, you put a fire up your ass because you're putting your and
Yeah.
people trust it more. You know what I mean? Look,
Yeah.
when you really put yourself out there as the founder on everything you got going, you know that you gotta deliver, like you gotta breathe, you gotta eat, sleep. Like there's nothing that I think about except getting to the next level or figuring out how to, you know, constantly climb. That's all I think about. And it's because I put myself out there. I'm not afraid to show the lows because I know that the highs, because I don't use the lows as like losses. I use them as lessons,
That's
So
it.
I know that, like I'm gonna keep climbing, I'm gonna keep growing, I'm gonna keep flowing, and and I've proven it. Even being out in Dubai for over 10 years, before the wave, all of that, like
But you saw that. Like now everyone is coming into Dubai and like
now
this.
it's obvious. Now it's an obvious play,
Yeah.
but back then it wasn't. It was like, what are you doing? Like you're in the Middle East. You're gonna get your hand chopped off. You say some crazy shit. But no, I just saw it. I came out and I'm like, you know what? It's completely different to what everyone's perception is.
Yeah.
And I know that word of mouth is like the best form of marketing at the end of the day, but it takes time. You know what I mean? So it takes time and yeah, like so I saw that early. Yeah, so founder led, started, like I said, I was trying to figure out all these different plays. I was thinking of everything. And I realized that a lot of the businesses that I had going on at the time was like hustles, like it was extraction. I wasn't building up anything of value. I wasn't building up something that I had ownership of. I was just, and that's when I got into mobile games. I got into the mobile gaming industry. One of my favorite podcasts at the time was called This Week in Startups, and it was by a guy called Jason Calacanis. And he would bring on all these founders, all these early tech founders. Back then Silicon Valley was like the pinnacle. That was the goal for someone who wanted to access capital, who was a builder. And obviously I'm still in Brisbane at the time, and I was just digesting every guest that he had on. So I'm pretty much learning from the guy who founded Uber, Travis Kalanick, and this is like 2 years after launch, like, and then I'd even go back to his old interviews and see um the interviews of companies that were successful today, but when they just started out, so I was like that. And then I was blessed to be in the mobile gaming space because it was at a time when it was, the Flappy Bird came out. So Flappy Bird comes out and there's new, and actually now I'm friends with the guy. He's on my Facebook page, Dong Nguyen, and he created a game called Flappy Bird, and that was like the birth of the genre of casual gaming. So before then, on the App Store, people like big AA companies, AAA companies were trying to figure out how to monetize on the App Store, like gaming, and they were building these big games and all of that. Actually, none of them really worked because you got to think on the game on the phone, people want to just play while they're on the bus. People want to play while they're on the train. They don't want to take 2 hours to start to learn how to play this game. They want to open it up. You start tapping, you start playing. Easy to learn, hard to master. That's what I would say is the overall consensus of casual gaming. So yeah, I came into the space. I just researched everything about it. I didn't know nothing about it. And then within 6 months, I could probably tell you everything about it. So that's what I'm like.
So you can do that with any industry.
In the industry, and I've done it now with iGaming, which is the casino that I got,
Yeah,
the
I've
crypto.
seen you promoting that.
Yeah, it's my I've been building that for a year and a half. So um yeah, so like, I'm one of those guys that, you know, like I said, it always goes back to the ceiling.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it always goes back to what's the ceiling of what I got going on. Um, and I knew that with mobile gaming, see, I can't do no physical businesses with this Facebook page. I got traffic from all over the world. So trying to set up a burger shop in which I did, by the way, in the Gold Coast, I'm missing out on 99.9% of the people that's on the platform. So I need something that's online. I need something that is, universal. I need something that is not gender specific. I need something that is not age specific. Any age could play this game. Then, even on top of that, it was free to download, so I'll make money on the ads. So it just like ticked all the boxes, this industry. And like I said about the nightclub industry, I knew everyone. I knew all the athletes. I knew all the people that was on the reality TV shows. Reality TV shows were big back then. I knew international artists, all of them, just from being in the nightclub. And I used the same strategy in the social media world because I had the traffic, because I was one of the biggest pages. on Facebook at the time, and I'm not just talking about in terms of likes. Everyone knows now likes doesn't mean shit. It's all about interaction. It's all about how much traction and how much reach do you get. Actually, the aim of the game is reach. It's not likes. You know what I mean? That is a metric you want is reach, and then it goes to where is your reach. You know what I mean? It's got to be in top tier countries. So, so I used the same strategy. So Vine shut down at the time, and all the people on Vine, all the top influencers, Instagram wasn't popping then, so they all came to Facebook, and because I was the top dog on Facebook, I was helping them all build their Facebook pages. So when I put out the game, I already had a marketing channel direct. I had traffic direct. So put it this way, I had access to all the best billboards in the digital world. You know what I mean? I had the best billboards on all the highways and every single highway you could think of, which was Facebook. So it beats all of I had all the billboards, but just because you have the billboards doesn't mean you have the traffic because you got to make viral content at the end of the day, right? So I did the marketing in a really crazy way. So I would just see a wannabe influencer that might have 1,000 followers, and he's done 5 videos. 4 of his videos did 1,000 views. The other one did 10,000. So then I would say, look, this video that has 10,000 views. I know that if I put that on my platform, plus share that out with all my share partners that I had at the time, because there was about 5 people running the whole of Facebook. Like even would be paying like rappers like 50 Cent, all of that, like 20,000 a month to just post whatever the hell we wanted on their page. And we had that all across the board. So um there was like 4 people actually running all of these pages, and then they'll tell me their content that they wanted to share on my page. I'll give them content that I wanted them to share on their pages that they had access to. So I could basically push a video that got 10,000 on this guy's platform that has no following. I could push 10 million views to that video. So what I would tell him was, you see at 30 seconds, you pick up the phone. I just need you to re-edit that video specifically and just play the game for a little bit. So I'm natively inserting the product that I had, which was the game at the time, into his viral video. Then I'm sharing it all through my network. See, I didn't need to pay for the top influencers because I could get it from the guy next door who just wanted, because I had the reach. So that was the benefit that I had. And I knew that this wasn't going to last forever because each month Facebook was decreasing the algorithms, the algorithms, the algorithms. So I knew I had to monetize it efficiently and effectively very quick. So that was why the games. And yeah, it was a blessing, it was a 2-year thing. And we got over 250 million downloads, and it was very successful. Like it was pretty much in the casual gaming sector, it's pretty much the most successful game if we're talking in terms of like profit. Now revenue is different to profit, but I didn't. There was no. There was all the revenue was profit. Put it that way, because there was no expenses.
Wow. So was that kind of like the big break where you
That was
really,
the big break.
that
I
was
was
your
hustling.
big break. And then did you kind of go from that into investing into more businesses? Then you started investing in real estate and crypto? Because I've heard you talk about how you delayed gratification. You made sure that you had 10 million in the bank before you went and bought like the Lambo.
Yeah. Well, the good thing was at that time, I was making like $5 million every month. And then before, and that's all profit. And then before that, it took me probably like a decade to make 1 million. Just in the nightclub industry.
Yeah.
Um,
So you just time collapsed your wealth. How have you stayed? One of the things I'm so impressed with, I've met celebrities, lots of other, like billionaires, especially being in the UAE,
yeah.
pioneering life creators. But the thing that's really stood out to me with all my interactions with you is that you are so humble and grounded. How have you maintained that?
Look, I just think, first of all, I think it's my culture. That's one thing. Just being maybe from New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
You gotta be humble, like, okay, like you said, it's good that you noticed that, and a lot of people do notice that are successful, but and that's what I said. If you just watch my stories or something, you'll probably think this guy's flashy, this guy loves himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really just chill, I'm actually really chill. Um, so I think it's a combination, and then also like I've always been just confident in myself. So
Mm,
I don't need to be rude to the next person, you know what I mean? And every single job that someone is doing now, I've literally done that job, so I'll never judge someone where they're from. I'll judge them from where their potential is, and that's what
I
I'm
love that.
also good at, very recognizing. Whereas a lot of people, especially when I was coming up, they just looked at where I was at the time. They didn't even have the mental fortitude or the capacity to be able to ascertain this guy could be here. They just looked at where I was, and I've never been like that. You know what I mean? I'm very easily able to judge where someone trajectory, it could be. It is a lot of hard work and everything like that. So yeah, I would say that for me, that's probably pretty much the main things. And also, I know that, man, I've had a lot of lows as well. So when you have the highs, you don't get too cocky, and when you have the lows, you don't get too depressed, or you don't get too
Yeah.
sad about it, because life is a roller coaster. At the end of the day, there's ups and downs.
You sign up for that, right? Like you're in the arena, you're not on the cheap seats. Like you're gonna get you gotta get your teeth kicked in. Like that's part of business. It's a brutal
Yeah.
sport. But I think
Mm.
also like the way that you talk, like I just feel like part of your calling when I hear you on your stories, like the other day when I messaged you, I just feel like you're so cool to like speak to people, also like bringing them out of the streets, and you're so good at resonating with people wherever they are. You don't judge, because let's be honest, like especially across Australasia, I just cannot handle like the culture of chasing alcohol, chasing the bag, chasing girls. Like you're so dialed in, and I think that it's really cool how you're influencing people about not doing fast money, like doing the right thing, like
Mm.
building something, building yourself, because you've got
Yeah.
that foundation of identity. Like when you invest in yourself, you are like sky's the limit, right? And that's where doors of opportunity are going to open up. But for people that are
Yeah.
still in the streets, like
Yeah.
what do you think is the best next step? Like just to get around some people that can inspire them, like listen to something online if they don't have someone in their inner circle.
Like, I never had anyone that was I didn't know anyone that had a business. I didn't know anyone that had a that was super successful when I was young. So a lot of people always they find the negatives out of everything. I always try to find the positives. There's always positives in everything.
Mm,
And I would say to these people, like, trust me, like, I'm at my age that I'm at right now. I'm 39. And everyone that I knew that was making money before me in that sort of way, they're not around. You know what I mean? They don't last. And even people that make money in business, they don't last. So I've had longevity, and that's crazy because
mm,
um so I try to just lead by example. I don't want to be the judging person, because I don't know someone's situation. Like I said before, I came from like a poor area, but I was just blessed that my dad wasn't alcoholic or on drugs or anything like that, so he was very strict. So even though I came from a poor area, I didn't have none of that extra shit that I had to think about.
mm,
Um, so yeah, I don't like to judge, and I also feel that I can be very relatable. Maybe not by looking at me, but I do hang around different circles. I go to fashion shows. I go to the top Van Cleef events where it's all the royals and old money. The local crowd, the top Russians and all of that. And then I can go to like the favelas in Brazil and relate to them as well. So I've always been like that, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't judge someone where they're at. I
mm,
just try to give them advice, and I know that I need to look successful. See, I know that I need to show I'm successful,
mm.
so my message resonates with the people that I'm trying to talk to, that I'm trying to reach. We always get messages from the guy that used to be famous or that used to be successful. And look, it's not just about fame, but that used to be, the ex sports athlete that went broke, trying to give the lesson. No one cares. No, like, they want to see that you're up now.
Yeah.
And that's why it's super important to like, to be successful, but also give game. I don't like to stunt, you know what I mean? I like to inspire. So when I'm flexing and all of that, I'm literally showing what's possible. I'm not doing it to shit on no one. You know what I mean? Because I always try to tell everyone that you're racing against yesterday's version of you. That's your only competition.
It's a
And
different frequency, and I think I can feel that from your content. I love your create mode, like when you go on and you're like writing things about
yeah,
discipline, about mindset, about being dialed in. This is something too that I find really interesting on my own founder journey is that I found that, especially being a Kiwi and then breaking into
yeah,
the UAE and now being all like globally working with investors. I found that a lot of people around me wanted to project an outdated version onto me. Like it's interesting. Some people like it when you're weak and not when you're strong. Some people love it when you're up and they want something from you. But
Yeah.
how did you kind of do the solitude thing? Because sometimes I feel like you've got to break away and just dial in and just work on you. But then also you need to be in the room because proximity is power with the right people. Like, how do you maintain that balance?
Oh, look, I like I said, I'm pretty much I like to be in my house, and then I go out when I need to be, so yeah, it's just figuring out. Look, at the end of the day, when you become successful, everyone's trying to sell you something. Everyone's got the next play. Everyone's trying to extract, extract, extract. There's only a few that's really giving back value, especially when and this goes into every single relationship that I have. It's hard to find a 50-50, to be honest, that someone's giving me more than I'm giving them.
Mm.
It's cool because even if they're giving me 40%, I have the skills to be able to extract more from that 40% than someone else might. You know what I mean? So yeah, look, I just stay focused and obsessed, and I know where I'm trying to be. So I don't really like. I was hanging around yesterday with his name's Fred Curley, so he was like a two-time Olympic Games 100-meter sprinter.
I
He
saw
won.
that.
Yeah, he's like 9.76 seconds, man. He was the fastest man in the world for like a whole year.
Wow.
And he told me something saying when he was running, because I asked what was the difference between the Tokyo Olympics and Paris, because one was no crowd, the other was full house. And the whole Olympics stops for the 100-meter sprints, right? That's like the top event in the Olympics. And he said nothing was different. He doesn't even know he doesn't even look at someone like the next lane, And he said if you're already listening to the if you can even hear the crowd, you're doing something wrong. And I'm like, yeah, that's really relatable to even business and that, like, and a lot of people that I always tell everyone to make content, but I know a lot of people are scared. They're like, oh, it's but people's gonna judge me, and I'm like. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to what Fred said, and it relates to even sports and business. All the there's a lot of lessons in both of them. It's like if you're listening to the crowd, if you're listening to the outside noise, you're already off your game.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I've never been
It's
one to listen
powerful.
to the outside crowd. I've never been one to listen to the outside noise. I know where my destination is. It's not living on the palm. I'm trying to like build my own palm. You know what I mean? Like that's a difference in like for a lot of people, they'll see me like bro, like you're living in a penthouse in the palm. I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to live on the palm. Like the type of thing that I want to do is like build my own palm. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not
Like
to say that I
private
want to be a
island.
developer
You
or
love the
nothing,
private
but
islands, eh? I've seen you put some stuff up about you're like with Bitcoin, you're like, I was looking at my private island.
yeah. Oh, look. To be honest, like, that's kind of just. I love the hustle and bustle, but it's I can't do that if I wanted to, but not yet. So yeah, and that's what I said. If you listen to the crowd and the outside noise, you're
Yeah.
already off your game.
And it's a
So
very noisy world. Like there's actually it's a very, very noisy world. And I think you've got to be very selective about like what you listen to, what you watch, what you
yeah.
read, who you talk to, because it actually affects like your cognitive ability, but also neuroplasticity. Like how do you feel you had to rewire your brain for success?
To be honest, I really didn't have to. I had all the key things. It was more so about getting rid of shit. Getting rid of shit that understanding early what didn't benefit me because I already had the mindset young. I
Mm,
already had the hustle young. Now growing up in Logan, there's a lot of criminals, drugs, all of these type of things. Um, you know, a lot of my close friends got into that, went down that path, and I knew early, like, man, that's not like I don't know. I just find it so easy to make money in with the internet that it's like you're stupid if you're doing that. You know what I mean? Like you're hustling backwards.
mm,
Um, so it wasn't so much like rewiring, it was just understanding what I needed to let go, what I needed to get rid of. And this was so beautiful for me being in the nightclubs is that I was working on the weekends instead of partying on the weekends. You know
mm.
what I'm saying? So I separated myself very early from this from the people that I grew up with. And a lot of people they want to take their day ones with them, and I'm saying, well, man, like, you have to understand is like who's really about it, you know, like because I'm on my journey. I'm on my I got the express train and I'm not trying to stop at all stations. I'm just trying to catch the express. So anyone that's not on this train is like you can't come on the journey. I don't want to stop at all stations. I don't want to go two steps forward, one step back. None of that.
That's a great
And,
way of thinking about it. But I think also sometimes there's a lot of like grief that can come because, people would like lose oxygen and can't make the climb. Like you can't take everyone with you. Like
yeah,
you have to leave some people behind as you
yeah,
grow. Did you
yeah.
find parts of that challenging?
No, not at all. Because I think it was because I lived in different countries. My primary school was like 2 hours away from my when I went to boarding school. I lived at my mom's, I lived at my dad's. So I didn't really have that, you know, and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. But like I said, I use it to my advantage. You know what I mean? I'm very unemotional. I don't care when it's my birthday. My 21st birthday, I worked. I didn't tell no one it was my birthday. Whereas other people, they be having a birthday month. Even last year, I didn't have my birthday. Um, I went to Burberry, got a cake done like 2 weeks before that just for content for social media, but I treat every day like the same, you know what I mean? It's just Groundhog Day. And and it was because of how I grew up, to be honest. And people can look at that and be like, oh man, the way I grew up and I was just here there. I didn't really have a connect. I don't care, man. You know, like no one grows up perfect, but you want to take the positives from it or
Mm.
you want to take the negatives from it. It's up to you.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
I know there's only one of those things that you take, which is going to make you successful, and it's not the negatives.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love your mindset. I think if people can get in the zone, like if they can get themselves in the arena and dialed in like that, because
Yeah,
it's actually really being able to get your strengths and put into full force, like your strengths inside of you and becoming fulfillment is really becoming the highest version of yourself. But a lot of people talk about it, but then
yeah,
they're out
a lot.
partying in the weekend. Like you have to sacrifice.
Yeah, I
And
treat
I
the
think like
weekends like the weekdays. I say that all the time. You know.
yeah, like I love, you're putting stuff up in the weekend and you're just grinding. You're still
Yeah,
grinding. Let's talk
yeah.
about relationships because I've heard you say some really interesting things online about personal, intimate relationships. So for
Sure.
someone wanting to build an empire, wanting to be
Mm,
the highest version of themselves, that's
mm,
relentless, got drive, we know that relationships are either going to make or break you. They're one of the most important decisions that you make in your life. All that time and energy. I think of it like a business. Where's the ROI? That's how I think about it right now. How
yes.
have you approached relationships in your life being on such a fast and powerful trajectory?
Oh, look, when I was young, I made every mistake that you can think of, you know. But at this age now, I feel like I'm qualified to talk on this. So, um, the decision that I make is like I said, it's about understanding that I know now I could probably meet someone that is not, you know, it's never going to be a 50-50. You know what I mean? Because,
Hmm.
and I've had very successful women in business, but I feel like when women focus on business, look, I just believe in a different thing. I believe in the man's role and the woman's role. I like the man to be out working and and my girl to be home looking after the house because I feel like like you said, as a movement, as a relationship thing, that's going to be the best ROI for the family because I still believe that kids is the best investment that you can make. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it. You know, like shout out to all the women that's chasing their dreams and everything and their goals. But yeah, I would say you gotta try and lock in with a look. There's two ways you go about it, right? You either go and chase the money as a girl, or you go and chase the family. And
Hmm.
you know, a lot of girls, they do think that the more successful they get financially is the more attractive they are to a male. But actually, a lot of successful guys are actually you know, you have a lot of alpha tendencies or male tendencies becoming a alpha woman, you know, what I mean, or a successful woman, you know. So
You have to have your masculine and your feminine because you're there negotiating big deals. Like you have to
yeah,
have the masculine energy to
yeah,
get things done. But I think it's like gears, like with any good founder or entrepreneur, you've got different gears. You've got to be able to shift from different energies. But it's interesting. Like I think, yeah, if you're going to do the family thing, it's a big
yeah,
commitment, right?
yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, what are you talking about from a guy or a girl?
Yeah, I think for both. But like it's yeah, so it's interesting. So you're more those traditional roles. What about for women kind of like me, building their empire. But my type would only be someone like me or the future version of me.
Yeah, so the problem is with when girls make a lot of money is that it removes a lot of guys' potential that they want to date because a woman only will 99% of the time only dates up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's harder to find that guy
yeah.
because you remove a
And
lot
guys
of
get intimidated too, but then it's good because you only attract like masculine men that know how
yeah
to really, they really know who they are, you know?
yeah. Oh look, to be honest, I can go down that route and go like crazy about it, but I don't want to fight with you.
Oh no, we don't. Hey, I like it. I like what you have to say. I think it's really
Yeah.
interesting from a
Okay.
such a
Yeah.
successful like male entrepreneur founder. No, I think there's something really beautiful about a man that wants to protect and provide. In fact, I feel like
Yeah.
it's the princess era out here. Like I feel like I love it when I meet masculine men that want to look after their woman. I think that's a beautiful thing. Like at the end of the day, it's about adding value to each other and making each other better, right?
Yeah. Well, look, like I said, I don't know. Like I heard that it's like that these days, where a lot of guys are trying to do 50-50 and all of that things.
Yeah.
For me, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't believe in that at all. But I also believe that, a lot of the women these days, they don't deserve to get that treatment, because they're out and about doing whatever. And then, so I believe that, look, I always provide and protect my woman, but I'm very selective on who I would be with, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you have to
Um,
be, right? Like you've got to protect your energy.
yeah, it's crazy. Every single relationship, doesn't matter if it's business, friendship. I did a status the other day. You imagine you got four stoves, right? You got family, friends, work, health. You can't turn all of them on at full. If you got the gas, if you turn all of them on, none of them are at full. So you got to turn one off to be good at three, or even to be successful, you got to turn two off.
Mm,
So it's crazy for me. I don't really have friends. I'll be honest with you. I don't have friends. The people that I talk to and become friends is the people that I'm doing business with. You know
mm.
what I'm saying? I don't have the dudes that like I'm out there. Oh man, let's catch up with Jimmy and talk about the kids and have a barbecue. Nah, I don't really like that. Does not interest me at all. Um, but if we got something going on, then I'm gonna become friendly with you because I only like to do business with people that I would be friends with. My circle's very tight, you know what I mean? It's very tight, and I don't have like, to be honest, like pretty much just like 2 years ago was the last friend that I stopped talking to from when I was young. Like being close friends with. And it's just because you keep changing, you know what I mean? It's funny when I hear people that are oh man, I'll never get rid of my day ones, or never. I'm like, bro, you haven't you haven't done something out the ordinary then, because like I said, if you keep climbing, you
Mm.
know, and people say, oh, is it lonely? I said, man, that shit was lonely at the bottom too. Like, no, at the end of the day, no one's coming to save you.
I love though that you're just like you're locked in. I think relationships are really important, but like where people sit in our lives. But sometimes you also just have to you outgrow. Like I outgrew so many of my family and
Yeah.
friends.
It's not like, oh man, it's like, man, I still wish you well and everything like that.
I think as you evolve so hard, and also I think
Yeah.
as you globally go and take ground and
Yeah.
go in different rooms and you meet different people, but also when you stretch yourself and you go through pain and you come through the other side, you're just a different person.
Yeah. Well, think about it. I've been in Dubai for over a decade now. Living very nice. And you know how much uh where I live costs and everything like that.
Yeah, it's very
Being
expensive.
Yeah, it's like even to rent, well, I own it,
Yeah.
but if you were to rent here, it's over 2 million dirhams per year, which is pretty crazy.
Why Dubai for people? Obviously, tax advantages. It's an accelerated real
Yeah.
estate market. It's the new Sydney, New York, London. Like it's the place to be. But for you, why do you think it makes sense for founders?
Well, look, definitely for me, first of all, it's definitely just tax reasons, right? Obviously, when you make online money, you go to a jurisdiction that has
Yeah,
that has favorable options. That's like if you live in a small city, in New Zealand, and you want to make money, you got to go to Auckland. You know what I mean? Like it's just the same shit on a different level.
yeah.
So people think, oh, yeah, obviously it's for tax. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie.
Well, 0% personal tax, like 9% corporate tax. But not only that, like The real estate market is absolutely insane. People are doubling money 5 to 7 years opposed to 15 to 20 across Australasia.
Well, look, if I was to do real estate and investment, which is what you do, right? What's the ceiling? You want to go to a place that's already marketed for you. You know what I mean? You want to go like, would you want to be selling in Auckland or in or you want to be selling in Dubai where you can sell full floors, you can sell you know what I'm
The
saying?
little
Or
islands next to the new Wynn Casino, they're dropping $5 billion, like more than what they invested in Macau and Vegas. Like billion-dollar developers are the best in the world. And that's it,
yeah,
right? It's about wanting to be around the top 1%.
yeah. Like to be honest, like I do have a house in Australia as well, like very nice house. So is like over 11 mil. And no one goes to Australia. You know what I mean? I mean, look, there's people go there, but every day I'm filtering who I'm gonna meet, and I'm talking like top level people in Dubai, from celebrities, top athletes. So Dubai, and it's good that you mentioned that because I always try to tell everyone when I explain Dubai, I say it's the new New York. So how New York was in the 1800s, you had all the Italians, the Germans, you had all the Europeans, people all converging on New York to get ahead, that wanted to have a better life. And what does that do? That brings the go-getters, that brings the innovators, that brings the people that's willing to take risk coming into that city. It's the same thing what's happening in Dubai now and the GCC region in general. So it's the new Europe, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, and doubling
Um,
population, doubling economy, but their government are just so futuristic and innovative.
Look, it's there's pros and cons to having someone that can solely make the decisions. It can be good or bad depending on the person. But fortunately, in the UAE, you have a very you have a government and a leader who's very innovative and forward focused. So the thing I like about Dubai as well, and the UAE in general, is like even like I'm so happy that I got wealthy here because like I was so I know what I was gonna say before now. I've been here for 10 years. So think about how could I really relate to someone from my nightclub days now when I've had 10 years of building my connects, building my experiences over here. So, you know, that's the difference, like it's just a crazy like level up, level up. But yeah, like UAE's dope. I'm not married to the place. If I find somewhere better, I'll move there. But in terms of what I got going on, it's very safe. Like, I can't walk around with this. Like, there's probably like over like 1.5 million in jewelry right now. I can't walk around in any other city without a security guard
Yeah.
strapped up.
Well, that's it.
And
And,
Dubai,
and the luxury experiences too, like you said, like they just have the most incredible service, like beach clubs, restaurants. Like we see you out enjoying your Wagyu, dropping 100K on Wagyu.
yeah,
I want to come over and just listen to your music playlist and have a look at your designer wardrobe. That wardrobe looks dope.
yeah, sure. Yeah, just come around. Just let me know. Yeah, like in terms of music playlist, I got all the fresh shit. So I either play like the classics, but the underrated classics, not the cliche classics that got thrashed to death. I play like the underrated ones, or
I
I
like
play
the
all the
old
fresh.
school stuff that you put on your
Yeah,
stories.
yeah, the old school, and then I got all the fresh shit too. So, yeah, like I said, and then even the closet goes crazy. Like, yeah, it's man, it's just a complete vlog in the closet, and
I love it.
it's
I live vicariously through you, like those luxury store tours. I'm like, yes, I'm there. I love this. Like, it's so
yeah.
cool. I love it. I love you just like living your best life. But what do you think brings you the most fulfillment now in this chapter of your life?
I would just say just keep running up the stats. Like to be honest, it's nothing material. I feel like I've got everything that I ever wanted to get material wise.
Yeah. So
Um,
the
you
game
know,
kind of changes then, right?
yeah, and if I don't have it, I didn't want it. If I haven't got it yet, then it was something that I didn't want, to be honest. But like, I just bought like a $750,000 necklace from Van Cleef. And because I already manifested it for 2 years prior, when I got it, I didn't. I was just like, I didn't feel anything. You know what I mean? Because I already feel like I had it for 2 years because I manifested it for that long.
Wow. So you're really
Um,
into visualization, manifestation.
yeah, like you gotta think that you already got it, or like already or else if you can't see it in your mind, you will never achieve it in person. Or when you do achieve it in person, you'll think you won the lotto or something, and you'll just come like people tell me, "Oh man, you're lucky." I said, "Gee, this wasn't luck. Like, this is like luck is winning the lotto." I've been successful multiple times. I've made millions and tens of millions of dollars in many different industries, in different industries. So it's not luck, luck is one time or luck is winning the lotto.
Well, a lot of people
Yeah,
that win the lotto actually end up losing it because they haven't done the inner work to create the container to be able to actually handle the money. I just think it's the journey, it's who you become is the
yeah.
prize.
Like all the stuff that I did wrong in the past, and to be honest, I barely scratched the surface in my story that I told you. But all of these things that I went through, when I had the big hit with the games, if I didn't do every little thing before that, I wouldn't have been able to monetize that as efficiently and as effectively as I did. You know what I mean? I probably would have made like 1/10 of the money that I made from that, even with investing in Bitcoin very early, and being able to weather the storms, the 80% drawdowns multiple times, and still be confident, um, and still being able to live every day how I live because, you know, no matter what happens, I can still live every day how I've been living because of the success that I've had in the past. But yeah, like I just be visualizing it and yeah, everything that I learned, even now with the new business and the new project that I got going on, from all the other experiences that I've had, I know who to hire next. I know the next step of the company. I know the next step. I
Mm.
know as we
You're a good
grow,
listener.
this is what we need to focus on. So,
Mm.
you know, I don't have one of those look, I could have a company with like a lot of people, but for me, I'll be honest with you, it's not just about money. For me, it's about lifestyle. I love to train. I love that I can book a flight tonight and go out tomorrow and just go, like just stay away for 2 months if I wanted to. Um,
Freedom, you have freedom.
yeah, freedom is the most important thing, like and everyone chases that. And for me, that is definitely the sign of success. Is not about having the most money. It's about living how you want to live. Like if I was young and I saw me how I live today, that's goals.
Yeah, incredible. And what's
Yeah.
the hardest thing you've ever had to go through?
Hardest thing was probably there's two things. My divorce and also my dad died when I was young. Like I was like early 20s. So those two were probably the hardest things. But like I said, man, I've been through so much that and I always choose the positives out of it by just dealing with it, just going through it. A lot of people turning on you, or all these negative situations that I went through, man, has been very hard. But like I said, I always just find the positives out of something, and that's a beautiful thing about life. I remember when my dad passed away, um, the one thing I took from it is because he just pretty much it was like a phone call from my brother saying dad's dead. Um, so it wasn't like a 3-year period where he had sickness or whatever. It was just like he's gone. And I realized from that tomorrow is not promised. You know what I mean? And that really made me double down and lock in and become obsessed, knowing that and seeing that firsthand and going through that. So, for other people it could break them. For me, I would say that kind of made me in a way. And the same thing with the divorce. Um, Something happened there, which to be honest is crazy. That situation, but that shit just made me stronger. That just made me like way more stronger going through what I went through. Um, you know, I'll be honest with you. My ex, she started dating one of my friends, so it was like that, and she's still disrespectful to this day. But you know, it is what it is. But like at the end of the day, that shit just made me strong. That shit like really made me reevaluate everything and really fortitude. It was just kind of like funny. Just my hustle, my grind, to keep going to the next level. So, everything's a blessing at the end of the day. If I'm alive, I'm happy.
Wow,
Yeah.
I just love your mindset. It's just so incredible in your story. So, do you
Yeah.
think that we're going to see you like doing more speaking? Like, do you think you're going to write a book? Do you think you'll do like a biography?
I think a book's kind of like that shit. That shit's played out. Like that's like some 2000 shit. Um, like a book is like cool, but I think the YouTube vlogs is where it's at.
Yeah, actually, I love your YouTube.
Oh, thank you. So you watched it?
Yeah, it's so cool. I love like all the travel that you do, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. But I just love the mindset, and I think the heart behind the hustle. Like, I do think that I love the Instagram and I love all the luxury stuff, but I
Mm.
think that for me, I love how you talk to people about their mindset and how to improve their life. And I think you can really feel your like genuine, authentic self coming through in
Yeah.
that. You're not just this guy who's got all this money that's flexing. Like you're like saying to people, like, no, go be the best version of yourself. Make something of yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, so yeah, I just think like just following your platform is just inspirational to people because you're living it, you're doing it, like you live the hustle, you don't just talk about it, you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, to be honest with you. And it's cool to touch people, like whether we have that commonality of just being from New Zealand, maybe that's it. But yeah, and that you're a founder and on the grind as well. Yeah, no, I love that. You know what I mean? And that's the thing why I always try to reply to everyone. This is the reason why I always tell everyone to make content. You don't know who's watching it. You don't know what doors that it's gonna open, the opportunities that's gonna arise. And yeah, there's negatives to it. Like, man, I gotta be careful. People know I got a lot of money. I'm a target. You know what I mean?
Yeah, how do you deal with that? And like also that like the haters, but also the safety.
Safety wise, like if I never post anything in real time. So whenever you see me post stories, whatever, uh, I'm not there anymore. And then secondly, if I'm in a different country, I don't even post until I've left the country. So you wouldn't even know, like I won't even start posting until I've left that country.
That's
Um, yeah, so that's how it is. Like that's for that. And then in terms of the haters, nah, like I encourage, like, for me it's fine because at the end of the day, the aim of the game, right, is you want people to have an opinion, good or bad. If you're not doing something that forces an opinion from someone, then you're not doing too much. You're playing it safe.
mm,
You know what I mean? So whether they're saying something good about you or they're saying something bad about you, they're saying something about you. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I've made plenty of money from my haters. Don't worry about that. I still know how to monetize that shit. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. If you work at McDonald's and there's 20 people there, there's going to be two that don't like you. You're not going to get along with anyone. Doesn't matter how small the job site is. There might be five people on your job site. One of them's not going to like you. You know what I mean? So then you just got to scale that up and understand that that's a part of the game. And it doesn't bother me at all. Actually, please talk about me. Please make content about me, whether you love me, you hate me. Just give me your opinion, you know what I mean? And keep pushing the algorithms because I know, like you said, that even if someone hates on me and makes a bad video about me, they're gonna drive traffic to me, and then I'm still gonna get people that go, hold up, he's successful, he's in shape, he's motivational as fuck, he's chasing his goals. This guy's really just a hater. You know what I mean? If you're not low IQ anyway, so for me, I don't really care about the low IQ people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But anyone that's got like over a 50 IQ, they can clearly see that I'm successful and I'm doing what I do. And at the end of the day, like, I don't hate on no one. You know what I mean? I don't hate on no one. If you see me beef with someone, they started it. I never start nothing. I'm too focused.
yeah, you're focused, you're in your lane, you're doing your thing. So the online
Yeah.
casino is this kind of the next big thing for you?
Yeah, it's definitely. I've been in crypto since 2012. I've been in gaming space since 2015. So it's kind of like just bringing the both together. Bringing the both together, but also coming up with a lot of innovation. So there's a lot of innovation that I'm going to be bringing to this market. And it's crazy. I just started last month, and already I was at this at the Sigma event in Dubai. I got nominated for like influencer of the year. And also, I was on the guest panel speaking about my journey and everything. And at the after parties, I was meeting a lot of key people using the same principles that I learned from back in the nightclub days, the gym days, all throughout everything that I've learned about how to network with the right people. Um, and I got people writing up that are top three in the iGaming space saying they met me. And it's funny that you said that. And I'm not trying to show off, but they said, yeah, I met this guy. He's got a successful past, a big name, and it was truly humble. And these are the guys from top three in the industry. So I'm just using the same rules and the same principles, but trying to bring innovation. This market is very big. Prediction markets right now is huge. Kalshi poly market where people are betting on everything, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like if you think about it, you bet on yourself.
Mm.
When you open a McDonald's, you don't know what you're gonna get. It's a mystery box in gaming. Labubus, you don't know what you're gonna get. All of that. This is all a form of you go shop on Temu, you go shop on Shane. You're spinning the wheel. You're doing everything is gamified now. You know what I mean? Everything is gamified. The thing I talk about with online casino, right? For example, doesn't matter what you do, 99 lose, one wins. That's in business. That's in personal brand. That's in sports, and that's in investing. Everything is 99 lose, one wins. It's the law of nature. It's the same thing in casinos. The thing is that you don't know who that's going to be. There's nothing that you can do to have an advantage over someone else. Now, in the other ones that I mentioned, you can do things to increase your chances of success, and that's what I think is that's how I pretty much sum up the casino.
It's
And guys, it's entertainment. Do not think you're going to get rich off this shit. You know what I mean? Use it as a form of entertainment. Use it as your entertainment budget, as you would going to watch a sports game, as you would doing anything else, going to the movies. Entertainment budget only.
So for people out there that made their first milli, what would you advise they invested in? Another business,
Damn, first milli, shit,
crypto, real
that's nothing.
estate?
Yeah, $1 million, you can't do nothing with that. I would say just keep doing what you're doing.
Just keep lever like just leveling up until you get your first 10 mil.
You need to at least get 10 mil. Because think about it, right? Especially if you're in a jurisdiction that pays tax. Now, okay, what you can do if you got a mil, go to a country that $1 million stretches further, or you're gonna keep more of it. For example, if you can do what you're doing in New Zealand, if you can do that in Bali, if you can do that in Vietnam, if you can do that in Dubai, then explore those options. Because $1 million in Dubai is $1 million in your pocket. $1 million in Australia is 700,000. By the time you pay, well, that's just business tax. If you pay, if you're as an employee, you're paying 49. So there's those things. Go to a place where you can make US dollars, USDT, stable coins or whatever, or even Bitcoin, and live in a jurisdiction that is cheaper. That's one option. Or keep doing what you're doing because look, to be honest with you, $1 million, if we were talking like 15 years ago, that's pretty much like 100, that's like 100,000, if we were talking 15 years ago. So $1 million is nothing. It is a good benchmark. And look, you'd probably say put a little bit of that into your personal brand. But look, you got to keep going because, yeah, like I said,
You have to
uh,
get to 10 mil. And so that's
10
like
mil
to reinvest. You got to reinvest it in yourself, right? Reinvest.
reinvest it in yourself, like 1 mil, like you try to put it in an S&P, well, you're gonna put 500,000
Yeah.
and make 8%. What are you gonna do? You're gonna get a loan for a house, and hopefully in 30 years you've paid it off. And so look, you just need to keep putting it back into what you got going on, what got you that mil.
Yeah.
Use it strategically and just understand, is that mil the max of what I can make, or can I get to 10? But yeah,
And
I
at
would say
what point of wealth do you think start to diversify?
when you say diversify, look, I would say, do you mean into like investments
Yeah,
or
like start splitting some into business, some into crypto, some into real estate.
look, I would say you know, yeah, you can do that straight away, to be honest. You can do that straight away. It's hard to give a one answer for because it's like one size does not fit all in this
Yeah.
game, you know what I mean? Like, so really to give actual proper advice, you got to understand what the person's got going on and understand what their skill set is, what their strength is, what
Yeah.
industry they're in. But yeah, I would say, guys, you need to try and get to 10 mil, you got to get to 10 mil because you want to earn where you live, and then you want to have, look, and I would say this is another reason why I'm so hungry because um all my I put all my money to play. You know what I mean? I don't like I don't rest on my laurels and I could just buy like man probably soon I don't know maybe I could buy just like 20 mil of investment in real estate and just get the cash flow. But I rather I'm still I'll still bet on myself because I just look at it this way. I know with all the information, the knowledge and everything that I've got, I can just keep making money. So I always put it back into myself.
Yeah, you've got the skill set and that mindset. Well, thank you so much, Sam. That was just like mind blowing. Just so much gold, knowledge, wisdom,
Yeah.
hustle. Like, and it was such an amazing personal story. It was so cool just like hearing where you came from and what you're doing now, and just love watching your journey. So, thank you so much for your time and your energy.